page, and you guys can post it on your Facebook pages. And let's just introduce ourselves, because now the camera's rolling. So, Kate, do you want to start? We'll go around. Kate?
Sure. So, as you may already know, my name is Kate. Kate Kariska. And I was a teacher in Israel. I was an English teacher in Israel, and I had a really great time, missing that a lot. Then I moved to Canada. And in Canada, I became a Montessori teacher. So I was teaching in private schools, because Montessori are private schools here in Canada. So I worked with smaller kids. Usually the average age of my student was 3 years old. So it was a pretty different experience. Today I will be here more as a parent of 2 boys. My boys are 10 and 12. And I will tell you what's happening with Canadian educational system this year in general, and what's happening or not happening during this coronation time.
Okay, thank you, Kate. And Judih, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Judih. I'm muted? I'm not muted. I'm Judih.
You're fine.
And I was teaching up until last Thursday. And then we were told, look, no more school. So I am in touch with my students through clips of meditations, because I teach mindfulness. And I've invited them to ask me questions, and I'm also involved in our project with Albany. So we're sending out assignments for the kids to do things. And so I'm in touch through WhatsApp with the students. On the kibbutz, I have mindfulness sessions, but everyone here is walking very far apart, at least 2 meters apart. Today in our store, the people working there had gloves, of course, and masks. We were told to wait to put our stuff out, then stand back while the stuff goes through the cache. And then the people at the cache would move away. We'd package our stuff and go. So that's new as of today. But till now, it's been kind of half-ass. Their parents are bringing their kids to our playground, our new playground, and they didn't really notice that everyone is like with everyone else. And we still have workers who don't live on the kibbutz coming to work. So we're expecting corona eventually, but right now we are illness-free in our area, and we're all trying to keep distance. So that's it for our kibbutz.
Okay, Erin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Erin, and I teach preschool special education. So it's part of the public school system, but all of my students are between the ages of 2 and 4, and they all have identified disabilities. The majority of my students have autism, but I do have kids with Down syndrome. I have kids with hearing impairment. I have pretty much, I have a child with a feeding tube. So pretty much any child that age that needs services comes to me.
Wow. Tough situation. Okay, so basically I'm doing this. The idea was that I wanted to talk about, like, to interview Kate about how it is in Canada now, to hear how it is in Israel now, and so we have the United States as well. So Kate, what's it like in Canada now? When did you guys get out of school? When did your schools close?
So it's similar to what happened in Israel. On Thursday, it was announced that schools will be closed for 2 more weeks after the March break. And many parents didn't send their kids to school on Friday already, because they said, like, what's the point? They'll have a 3-week coronation anyway. And also they suddenly realized that it wasn't so safe in a school where you have like 1,000 kids and everyone's like touching everything and not really washing their hands, you know, kids. So somehow people didn't realize that until like Thursday. So Friday and the weekend, we saw those huge lines in the grocery shops, and products were wiped off the shelves. So it was kind of crazy. Well, luckily, somehow I'm a big fan of apocalyptic movies, so I managed to kind of predict that. And I started stocking up like 2 weeks ago, little by little, like, you know, soups, canned products and stuff. So I didn't have to go and join them in that craziness this weekend. I kind of avoided that. And also I have toilet paper, like rolls and rolls.
I was going to ask what the toilet paper situation is by you guys in Canada.
Yeah, well, by now they started giving just 2 cases per person, right? And we have dedicated hours for senior customers who can come in and buy things without all that lachats, right?
Without the pressure, yeah, wow.
Yeah, without all that. So generally, like, I don't know, people here are kind of chill. You know, we're Canadians, we're generally chill. So they do take they do accept the situation that they can travel and there are some restrictions here, but still many people are walking around. And we had a restaurant and bar ban put on like 2 days ago, and still there are some bars and restaurants that are functioning. Wow. Yeah, and people are gathering there. So it was reported yesterday, like on the news, that some of the restaurants haven't closed actually. Well, the number of cases is rapidly rising. I think we'll reach 1,000 cases by next week, because today was almost 700 this morning, and it's rising like lately. It's just doubling every day. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really tough situation. That's why I decided that I don't take chances, and I've decided just, you know, to be one of the frontiers. We just lock yourself in your house. We have a really big house. We have everything we need. We have a backyard. So like, I don't see reasons to go and expose yourself. Today I have this spacewalk when I go outside into the outer space, into the hostile environment, to buy some foods and to ship a couple of orders and do a couple of other things. And I will be, like Judith said, I will be like 2 meters apart from other people. I don't care if they think I'm weirdo, but, you know, I do what I need to do. I don't want to infect my kids or get infected. So.
Wow. So, Erin, is that how people are reacting in the States also, in Virginia?
Yes. Different states are having different rules, which is making it very tricky, because I guess anytime some of the CDC people, which is like your health ministry, is saying that all the restaurants need to be shut down and we need to do a national lockdown kind of thing. But people are complaining, and there's this general uproar that, you know, we're turning in, like, we're a democracy, so you can't do that kind of thing. And so there is, I think we had the same problem. Like last Thursday, we were called in for a faculty meeting, and they said, well, in the event that schools are closing, these are packets that you're going to send home with your students. Then, but they didn't give us any more details. And then at like 4 o'clock that afternoon, they sent out an email to all the parents and all the staff and said, well, school is closing starting Monday. So we kind of had that same deal. Like Friday, all of us, we had 125 kids out of our 500 not come to school. And then Monday, teachers had to work. And so basically we had to just come in and clean, like take everything off of our shelves so that they can come in and clean the rooms really well, I guess, because the custodians are being made to work this week. And then We are supposed to try to reach to our parents online. Since I'm special ed, we're supposed to touch base with our family once a week just to see if they have any questions. But very much like in Canada, people are going all over the place and hanging out. I don't know if you guys saw the clips that they interviewed spring breakers in Florida, where they basically were a bunch of college kids that said, we've paid all this money for this vacation and we don't care if we're going to get the coronavirus or not. Like we're going to spring break is going to happen and we're going to do this anyway, kind of thing. So I think our numbers are going to go up dramatically once they actually start testing people. In Virginia right now, we only have a couple hundred tests. So they're only testing people who are over 60 and who have the breathing issues and the fever. If you don't meet their criteria, or you haven't, and you have to also have some sort of exposure to someone who may have the coronavirus. If you don't, then they just say, well, you don't qualify for the testing, so go home and stay home for 14 days. But I think that's why the United States numbers are so low, because there's no tests. So we really don't have a good idea of who is really sick and who isn't.
So that's sort of the same thing that happened in Israel just yesterday. Somebody was saying that all of a sudden the numbers are rising, but they don't know if it's because there are actually so many people all of a sudden getting sick, or all of a sudden there's more tests out there.
Right.
They're actually checking them. So in Israel, it didn't, like, it took the whole world by surprise. I'm not a good example because, as I said, I was abroad for a week. I was in Maryland, where I know that they already, while I was abroad, they had the first cases there. And when I came back, I just had to go into my house, and I haven't been out since. I've gone out to the front door. I've got my clothes washing machine is on the porch out front, so I go out to do that. But other than that, I haven't experienced the stores like Judih was saying. But my daughter was saying that she felt really uncomfortable going into our little store. And you have to understand, Erin, we're a really small community. I live on a kibbutz, as does Judih. And there's like 400 people in our whole community, and it's a little tiny store. And so all of a sudden my daughter said, it's scary going in there because the guy who was working there wasn't wearing a mask and he wasn't wearing gloves. And like everybody's getting really concerned about it. And I personally feel that if I get it, I get it, and it'll, I'll be sick for a couple of days, and at least maybe after that I'll have some sort of immunity. Although people don't actually know whether that is true, if you can get reinfected or not.
Right.
So it's sort of a big question mark. But so how are your different school systems dealing now? Okay, yeah, Erin?
So right now, everybody, all in Virginia, all the schools are closed started out being closed for 2 weeks, because the governor of Virginia ruled that. My county has just now changed as of yesterday and said we won't come back until April 14th. That may extend longer. They don't know. But past the 2 weeks, it's kind of everybody's game, unless the governor makes it mandatory that everybody has to go. There are some states that have already decided they're not coming back at all for the school year. And so, so we are really not sure what to expect. It's very weird because there's so many states and everybody's doing something different. We don't really have a uniform plan of what's going on, but they're saying they're going to do online learning, but like with kids like mine, those kids, I mean, you can't do that online. So it's going to be very interesting as to what the plan is going to be for them.
Yeah. Kate, is it the same? Is it similar in Canada? Have they?
Yes, it's very similar. It's
Is it-
very similar.
There's not one decision for all of Canada. Each
Correct.
I forget what they call them. District? No.
Provinces.
Provinces. Provinces and territories. So the territories are fine. They're too cold and there are not so many people and they're very social distant from each other, socially distant. So they don't
Lucky.
actually have any cases as far as I know. And as Erin said, same thing here in Canada. In a couple of provinces, I know Manitoba for sure, and I think Saskatchewan was the second one, where they decided to keep kids out of school until September. So they basically are just closing the year and not coming back for now. Otherwise, it was a complicated year in Ontario because we had teacher strikes beginning this January.
Wow.
And we've already been out of school for 6 days thanks to the strikes.
Wow.
The kids were home and there were weeks when we had 2 days out of school because of the strikes, like a province-wide strike and then our district board strike, same week. Also, there were PA days and strikes, holidays and strikes, like different combinations. But basically when they announced that the school will be out for 3 weeks now, and we're
sorry.
Hi, Karen. So what we know at the moment is that the kids are, like, the schools are planning to be open again on April 6th. But again, as Erin said, with this number of cases rising, and we're very, very far from flattening the curve, right? I don't see it happening at all because as a parent, I'm not feeling safe sending my kids back to school in this situation, right?
So your kids, there's no format of distance learning with kids that age, right?
No, it's a very painful topic here in Ontario because one of the demands of the teachers union was to not have online learning, which is something I like. It's really hard for me to understand it in the 21st century with all the technology we have. So our Premier Minister, like our province Premier Doug Ford, he offered for the high school only, so that's grade 9 and up, 2 compulsory online courses per year only, which would prepare kids for going into the college, right? And university where you have a lot of online courses.
Excuse me, so you're talking about online, like blended learning in general, blending online learning with the regular syllabus, right?
Yes, correct. So that's about implementing online learning in Ontario as a province in general, before this all started, before the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So the teachers were striking against that innovation. And just before we went onto this quarantine, the Minister of Education, he agreed to that. They made a deal that there will be no online courses in a public school at all.
So what's happening with your kids at home? They're not having any courses at all?
Well, we didn't get anything from the school. You see, the situation is that they can't be striking against it and then give kids online learning for, yeah, right, that's exactly, right? So the unit, yeah, right? So yeah, that's my feeling every time I'm trying to discuss it online or something like that, because they're kind of fell between the chairs. On the one hand, the union demands from the teachers that they don't do anything above their contract, right? They can't kind of step up and say, I do online learning with my kids or distance learning. And on the other hand, we're in this situation that we can't be closed until September, and the kids will be just playing Fortnite and, you know, doing stuff, not doing any learning. So I just took it into my own hands, and with my kids, I just told them we're starting learning every day. I don't care, it's still March break or it's already quarantine. So like every day I'm just preparing Google Slides for them, and you probably somewhere I like wrote a little blog post about it, how I did it with a twist of Montessori. So it works really well for them.
So basically any kid in Canada who is getting any kind of learning now, it's homeschooling and at their parents'
Well, I
initiative.
can't tell for other provinces, but in Ontario, we are not getting anything from the schools. We just got one message from our French teacher saying, hi, I hope everyone's okay, and I'm missing you guys, and that's it. I think they're afraid to go against the union, which just closed the deal of not having any online learning at schools, like at the public schools at all. And so
there are kids who don't have access to computers and to Wi-Fi, and that it would widen the gulf between different socioeconomic groups. Is that the issue?
Yes, well, I've heard enough arguments against online learning from those who oppose it, right? Like, let's start with what Erin said. There are some kids with special needs, right? And they can't be taught with like distance learning and online learning, right? Also, there is the factor of the kids who don't have access to the computers, and now all the libraries are closed, and well, at school, when they go to school, they can use school computers, right? So that's what they do at school. But for distance learning, they say that not everyone has an access to internet, to the computer, and that's why we cannot implement it. But you know, like it's hard to oppose it, right? Because I wish I could give everyone a computer, right? But on the other hand, if it's holding us back, and especially in the times when we could use distance learning for now, like what should we do? It's really hard.
So in other words, even if you could be using distance learning now, because of the teachers' opposition, most teachers aren't trained at all in teaching distance.
Correct, yes.
And
that's what's
Erin,
happening.
is it that way in the States as well?
Yeah.
The state is different, so.
We have in our schools here in Henrico, which is the county that I live in Virginia, all of our middle school and high schoolers have a computer that was issued to them from the school that they keep with them for the year. But that is a concern, I guess, that's going around, is that not everybody has access to the internet. So they have actually set up 3 different, I guess, vans that are located within the county. And so they're giving out 400 internet hubs, I guess, which if the family doesn't have internet access online, they can get that hub and take it home, and then they will have access to it. And so, but it's not like that all the time. Like one thing that happens in the middle and high school is all of their textbooks are online, which to me is bizarre because I feel like I need a textbook. So I guess to them, it won't be as much of a change. In the elementary schools in our county, every teacher has access to computers, and they teach them starting in kindergarten how to do different things online, so that they are, because technology, our county always tries to be like the #1 in technology, which is great, but with the same token that our kids, they no longer teach things like cursive, because why have cursive when you can just type everything? And so there's a whole bunch of issues, I feel personally, with that, because our kids can't spell, they can't do math without calculators. Like a lot of the skills and that kind of stuff are not being taught. But yeah, when it comes to our elementary kids right now, they're just being expected, like if the parents want to get them online, they're supposedly have online resources and like websites that they can go to. But again, it's going to depend with them on which parents choose to take them up on that offer, and some parents are just not going to do it, whether it's because they have to work or because the parents just are, a lot of our parents were complaining about the decision and saying that that's not their job, that it's the teacher's job to teach, and so they don't feel like they should have to do homeschooling. So
okay, so I'm going to segue into the situation in Israel. This past week, our schools closed. When did they close, Judih? This week, right?
Yeah.
Just this
Sunday
week.
morning.
Okay, so
this
is our first week without school. And all the teachers were told, you have to send information, you have to send lessons to the kids, and everybody has to do lessons. And people are just going totally berserk. The kids are overloaded. We had this woman who from Ashkelon who went on Facebook Live or something, and she went on this whole rant about teachers, go away, leave us alone. I don't know, I can't handle all this stuff. All our kids are fighting to get computer time, and we're overwhelmed, and I don't know how to help my kids in calculus and music and these things. Just go away and leave us alone. But then on the other hand, there were parents who were saying, it's your teachers, you're being paid. It's your job to send stuff for our kids to be able to be occupied and continue their learning. So just yesterday or today, there was the decision that next week, the elementary schools are not going to have online learning. Maybe the junior high schools as well. It's so hard to keep up. But the high schools will continue. It's like there's two teachers unions here. There's the teachers union for the elementary school up to 9th grade, and then there's the teachers union for the high school. So the teachers union for the elementary school said all teachers are going to be paid up until the end of March, and summer holidays are going to be put off by 9 days, in the assumption that we're going to be able to go back to school after our spring break, which ends April 19th. But then the high school teachers union said, no, you have to keep teaching, and we're not willing to give up any of our summer vacation. And it's like you keep getting different messages from all different places, and we're such a small country, but like nobody can get their acts together. And we don't have, I want to mention, I'm a teacher trainer also, a counselor, and we're helping people, we're teaching teachers. I did like 6 Zooms this week, mass Zooms with teachers to teach them how to use Zoom in order to do online learning, and teaching them how to use Google Forms in order to get the information across. And in one of the groups that I'm in, one of the teachers said, oh, where was that, the lessons for yoga and meditation and class relax. So that's Judih's thing. Judih has a whole site, and you guys are invited to go in, Google the word class relax, and you can do that with your kids and share it with the teachers, and it's really good just for mindfulness, basically. And before our time runs out, because we've got, how much time? We've got like under 3 minutes. I see that Karen Newsey joined us, who was also from our school. And I'm assuming you joined us because you were working with us when Kate was there, right? Karen, you want to say something about what is going on in your educational system in Israel? Are you working in college?
Well, I'm at the university and I'm teaching teachers who are trying to run their classes in high school online. And we had our first session this week, and it was actually, I'm having a wonderful time on Zoom. And I think my students are also, because Judih, everything has just entered here. And I'm Zooming in a very relaxed way, and the students appreciate it because they have so many things on their minds that just the conversational English that we're having and the discussions about what's going on in the world and things they're thinking about and fears and concerns of theirs, to have somebody to talk to. And so I'm fitting in some skills on how to look at a text. In general, we're learning how to use the program, and by the 5th time I had used it, I made a co-host of one of the students who, it was amazing. As I was teaching and being able to focus on the teaching, he was able to go back and forth between all the files and keep everybody up to where we were. So I think that if we're a little bit willing to give over some control, they're willing to help and they appreciate that we're trying.
But your students are adults after Army, like in their 20s, right?
I have a lot of Bedouin kids in there who are 18, 19, 20. And so it's a mixed group.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that with us. We've got less than 1 minute left. So
it was wonderful. Thank you. Keep us posted to do this again.
Joining. It was a small group but quality, and it was really interesting for me to hear what Kate and Erin are experiencing there. And I'm going to
good luck over there.
Facebook group. And yeah, good luck to everybody. We're going to make it through this. I really hope that we get back to school before the end of the school year, because we're not at all discussing that. And anybody who wants, quickly grab it from the comments, is Judih's link to the class Relax. But I'll also put it on my Facebook. So
okay, great, thanks.
Take care.
Be safe.
Stay safe. Keep your distance. Only
Stay smiling.
Bye.
Bye.
So